Brother Brian, about 3 weeks ago, asked me if I would come up and speak about what I was thankful for for Thanksgiving, in honor of Thanksgiving, and told him I'd be glad to. So I've had 3 weeks to prepare to come up here, really, it's an honor. It's an honor to be able to come up here and talk about what I'm thankful for. I just have a few minutes, so I have to narrow the list down because I'm thankful for a lot. The first thing that I wanted to mention was my family. I know most of you probably feel like you have the greatest wife and kids in the world, but you don't, because I do. And I really feel that way. I feel, I've been so blessed. Julie is my right arm, and I don't know, I couldn't survive without her. My children are just a true blessing from God. They don't give me any trouble, and they are just wonderful kids to be around. I have in-laws that are like a new set of parents to me. Not new anymore, but another set of parents. And then my other in-laws are like sisters and brothers. And my own parents are, I'm so thankful for them and the things that they've taught me. My father has taught me how to be a leader in the family, how to love, how marriage is the center of the family, and the man is expected to be the leader and provide love in that marriage and make sure that that love is communicated through to everyone. The second thing was about this church. I'm so thankful for this church. This is a church that's filled with love. It's a church that when people are hurting, everyone hurts. It's a church that I know that if Jesus walked through there, he'd be pleased. That I'm sure of. And it's a pleasure to be a part of this church. But today, I wanted to talk about something that's going to kind of shock you a little bit. One of the things that I am thankful for is the experience of cancer. Don't get me wrong, cancer is horrible. Cancer is a disease that's straight from the pit of hell. There is nothing good about the disease, but in the darkness of that disease, in all the bad things that happen, I got to experience God in a very real and very personal level, and I wanted to share that with you. Going back to when I was originally diagnosed with cancer, the original diagnosis that they made was a very deadly and a very rare type of cancer. And I was seeing a specialist who was in Huntington, and I spoke with Dr. Musgrave, who's a personal friend of mine, and when we found all this out, I told her about what was going on, and I thought, this guy was from Harvard. I thought he was kind of the best there was, and she said, no, the kind of cancer that we think that you had, your survival depends upon the skill level of the surgeon. So we got to get you to the best people in the world. There's a guy in Vanderbilt and a guy in Boston. Which one you want to go to? I'll have you there. This was on Friday. She said, I'll have you there first of next week. So anyway, I was numb on Friday. Saturday, I had kind of kept a lot of this information to myself. I had shared a little bit of it with Julie. I hadn't shared all of it. I didn't really share what I knew about how bad this disease was, and the type that they thought that I had. The only way to get rid of it is with surgery. And the fact that the tumor that I had was in my shoulder, I knew that meant that I was probably going to lose my arm. I was probably going to lose my shoulder. And even after that, the survival rate was terrible. So I really was I was just in a panic. My mind was going 100 directions on Saturday. And I was fortunate because we had a lot going on coming up. And we were gardening. And Julie went to Lowe's to buy flowers, and I had about 4 hours by myself to work in the backyard. And as I was working, and this panic was going through my mind about, God, what am I going to do? I have so much that I need to do. My kids need to get through school. Who's going to provide for them? Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to take care of my wife? Who's going to run my businesses? Who's going to do these things? God, I can't die. I can't deal with this sickness. I can't. You've got to heal me. And I was having this discussion. My favorite verse just suddenly came to mind. Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Well, that verse to me always meant, it had a special meaning for me, but it always meant that I knew that whatever it was, God could do it. God could do anything. That's what I believed it meant. And suddenly the be still part caught me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Be still. Stop. I had all these crazy things that were going through my mind about what I needed and what I needed to do. I'm used to doing things that needed to be done. I needed to fix this, and I was totally helpless. There was nothing that I could do at this point there was nothing I could do. And in that helplessness, this panic set in, and the be still part just really hit home with me. And I guess you'd say that I listened. I calmed down and I listened and I prayed. And I realized that, over the course, this all happened in just a few minutes. But I realized that the way I had been living my life was wrong. I was a Christian. I came to church. I had all the things checked off that a Christian's supposed to do. I believed, I had faith, I prayed, I did all these things, but I didn't rely on God. I hadn't dedicated my life to Him. And I realized it was me. I had been living my life about me. And I realized that verse, maybe it didn't mean what I thought it meant. Maybe it meant be still, calm down, be quiet, and know that God has a plan. And am I willing to change my life, to dedicate my life to whatever that plan was for Him? And I realized that's what I needed to do in that instant. And the very next instant, the next thing that I started thinking about was, well, okay, maybe I need to be different. Maybe I need to think about all this different, God, but how? And the next thought was, I gave you an example, my son. And, I remember thinking about, I was gardening, and I was on my knees, and it reminded me of Jesus in the garden, right before the crucifixion. And I want to read this to you. Of course, I didn't bring my glasses.
On your hand.
Yeah, they're on my hand. This is Matthew, from Matthew 26, verse 38 and 39. And He said to them, my soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch with me. And He went a little beyond them and fell on His face and prayed, saying, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as Thou wilt. And, I realized that, my prayers had been about what I wanted. It wasn't about what God wanted. It wasn't what God wanted to do with my life. and what he wanted to have happen. And I realized that's what needs to happen. God's will, not mine. So that is from that point forward, that was how I lived with this treatment, going through this treatment for cancer. And as I went through the treatment, Dr. Musgrave, one of the things that we found out was that immediately, within a couple of days, I ended up at Vanderbilt with this specialist. And, he confirmed that he said, yeah, most likely this is this type of sarcoma. And he said, I see a couple things that make me wonder. There's a possibility it might be something else. And he said, let's just hope it's something else. And we're gonna find out right now. So they've had a pathologist come in and they biopsied the tumor, and lo and behold, I found out that it wasn't sarcoma, it was a lymphoma, and he said, we can treat these. And it was just immediate confirmation for me that, that God was with me. And so, long story short, Dr. Musgrave, after I came back here, she said there's a good thing and a bad thing about this type of cancer. She said the good thing is we can cure it. The bad thing is that the treatment for it is the worst we have. And she said, you get through the treatment, and most people are cured. And so I said, well, let's go. Let's get this done. So we did. And as it went on, I got sicker and I got sicker. The treatment was worse than I had ever imagined. There was I never realized how sick I was. I had no idea. I should have, though. I had gained all kinds of weight. The steroids had ballooned me up. My eyes were black and sunk back in my head. I didn't have all my hair came out. I looked terrible, I know. But Musgrave told me not to come to church, but I still wanted to. And Julie and I would sneak in after the fellowship hymn, and just so we could avoid all the handshakes and all that. And so one Sunday we snuck in and we slid in back there, and Alleen Hamilton was sitting back there in the back row. She's not here. She was sitting on the back row back there for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, I walked in and I sat down beside of her, and Julie sat beside me, and Alleen leaned over and she looked at me, and then she leaned all the way across to me and looked at Julie, and she said, "Hey Julie, how's Jimmy doing?" Julie said, "He's right there asking." But I knew then, I should have known then that how sick I was. But I still didn't know, and I never really realized it until my treatment was over. And I had a PET scan. Dr. Musgrave said, all the cancer's gone, everything's good. She said, "Boy, I'm glad." She said, "Because you would never have made it. You would never have survived another treatment." And that was the first time that I felt feared, And it wasn't until I walked outside, I sat in the car, and I got my papers I was getting my papers organized, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought, she just told me that I was close to death, and I had no idea. And the reason that I had no idea was because I had given up on living for myself and what my desires were, and I was trying to live for what God's plan was and what God wanted. Never in my life have I ever felt as close to the Lord as I felt during that time. And it's just very difficult for me to put into words just how close that I felt to Him. And honestly, as I've gotten better, that feeling has gotten further and further away from me. I am fortunate Today, I am thankful that I got to experience God holding me in the palm of His hand. You know, and it's something that is the most amazing feeling. I had no fear. I had no worries. I had all these concerns that I should have had that I don't have, that I didn't have. Now, granted, now, you know, I'm getting more back into the world, and I'm not the same as I was. And although I'd like to be like that, I'm not. I'm not as close to Him as I was at that time. But I try to be. So I guess what I wanted to say is that I'm sorry I spoke for so long, but I wanted to communicate just how wonderful it was to be able to experience what I know. I got a little tiny taste of what I know heaven is like. The world's problems are gone. Sickness is gone. Our health concerns, money issues, whatever the issues are gone. And it's just gone. Thank you very much. And have a happy Thanksgiving.